Crybaby, go ahead. You got the light in front of you tonight.
Just for you.
Good. Thank you so much. Anyway, how can I help?
I'd like to discuss vestigial structures. A vestigial structure is a feature that a species inherited from an ancestor, but is now less elaborate and functional than in the ancestor. It no longer performs the function for which it evolved. And
We'll stop right there.
Just one more thing, real quick. One more sentence.
Well, you don't know any of that to be true. You're building on a false premise. You don't know that it used to have a function and you're losing it. You're making that story up. But go ahead. I disagree already with everything you said. Go ahead.
You seem to say that scientists define it as a structure with no function, and that is not what scientists define it as.
No, I didn't say that. I say it's losing its function, like the tailbone. Is the tailbone a vestigial structure?
Yes.
Okay. Would you want me to have yours removed?
No, because it still has function. It still has. It's a limited. As I just said, it's a limited function. It's not. It evolved as a tail.
Okay.
It evolved to be a tail.
Well, how do you know it used to be a tail? Maybe it's always been just like it is. You don't know it came from a tail.
Examples of people that are born with tails, and they're actual tails with muscles, circulatory systems. In one case, it even had vertebrae, unfused vertebrae, unlike the vertebrae that are fused in the tailbone. And human embryos have tails up to a certain amount of weeks in the womb.
You need to study some more anatomy. No, they don't. It's the backbone grows first because that's all the nervous system for the rest of the body to develop. The embryos do not have a tail. The tailbone is more exposed, more visible, because it hasn't grown in the rest of the body. The gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, the biceps femoris that actually builds around it, and all the different muscles that attach to it. It's even part of the reproductive system. Okay? So you don't know these things. Somebody taught you this. You need to get your money back for education.
How would you define eyes in a blind cave salamander? Do you think that those eyes had function at some point in its past?
Now I couldn't prove that, but that'd be reasonable to say this fish used to be able to see and it lost its eyesight from living in the cave.
It's a vestigial structure, right?
But it didn't gain anything. You want to lose your eyes?
Well, eyes take a certain amount of energy from the organism in order to operate. So if you're not using them,
I agree.
It's advantageous for that organism in the population to not have their eyes working, so it can be spent on other sensory organs and that kind of thing, the energy. So you would agree, how about wings on a kiwi?
No, okay. Stick with the eye. Did the salamander that now lives in caves and all the babies are born with what's sort of an eye there, but they can't see out of it, was that adding information or losing information?
It was just different rearranged information. I would say the information was already there with the salamander.
Right. It was created with eyes, and over a period of time, those that lived in the caves, maybe they didn't need it, and one was born that didn't have working, and so it did just fine. Out of the cave, they wouldn't have survived. So they did not gain any information. They lost information. They didn't gain anything.
What about something like kiwi wings, which are just basically small nubs on the kiwi?
Right. We have emus here, same thing.
They don't have any. Well, emus and ostriches can use their wings still in order for mating displays and balance and other things like that. But they've lost the main function of the wing, which was to fly.
Well, you don't know that it lost the function to fly. This is where you're making it up. It could be. We don't know that. We know that ostriches always have baby ostriches and kiwis always have baby kiwis. Maybe they use those little stubs for mating display also. Maybe Mrs. Kiwi thinks that looks cute. Oh, honey, wave that thing again, Or for balance while they're running. You don't know that it used to be wings. See, you guys make this stuff up and expect everybody to believe it. I'm not going to buy into it.
Well, you've already admitted that these are vestigial structures, though.
Okay, and all the examples you've given would be examples of losing. Eyes to no eyes, tail to no tail, wings to no wings.
Not having the eye function helps the salamander in the cave by not having to expend that energy on...
Right, but it lost information. It can no longer see. It takes a whole lot of information to make the eye go to the optic nerve into the visual cortex and translate it into an image and react to it. Eyes are very complicated. And so if the salamander, cave salamander lost it, that didn't gain anything.
How does this make sense in terms of creation, though? Vestigial structures only make sense in the light of evolution.
Oh, no, come on now. No, God made everything perfect. Some animals have had lost information, genetic defects, and they've learned to live with it. Maybe the salamander, the only ones that could survive were those in the cave where it's dark, so they don't have predators coming after them. But it didn't gain anything. Going from eyes to not having eyes is not going to gain anything. It's not going to help your theory. Is that how the amoeba turned into the whale, by losing everything he had?
Well, I'm not going to get into that, but we can, in some cetaceans, we see hind limbs on dolphins, porpoises. Sometimes they're born with rear flippers. How do you explain that if they don't have that still in their genetics?
Oh, they may have had something useful function when God created them. But again, it's losing something. How can you not see this? Going from a functioning flipper to a non-functioning flipper is not going to make the flipper in the beginning.
So you're saying that dolphin descendants had 4 limbs?
No, I don't know. All we know is now dolphins make baby dolphins every time.
What would be the explanation when some
I don't have to give an explanation. I don't have to give one. I don't know.
When some are born with those back limbs, how would you have an explanation from a creation standpoint?
Well, I'd have to see more details on that. It could be a duplication in the gene code of the forelimb being duplicated and made in the wrong place. Just like there have been all kinds of mutations where something goes wrong, where somebody's got a third eye or whatever, it's the same information copied in the wrong place. That's not evolution.
They even see in their embryos that they're born with like hind limb buds that usually they lose at some part of their embryonic development. But
maybe there's a reason for it. As they develop, maybe it has to be there for muscle attachment or nerve growth or something like that. We don't know. But we know dolphins always have baby dolphins. Do you believe dolphins are related to sunflowers?
Well, I think we all share a common ancestor.
Okay, so you believe you're related to a sunflower. You have a common ancestor with the sunflower, like this chart shows. Humans and sunflowers have a common ancestor. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Okay. You can believe whatever you want. Crybaby, believe whatever you want. But that's not science. It's not science. It's your religion.
I just wanted you to, at least admit that there are vestigial structures.
I agree.
And that the definition of vestigial does not mean no function whatsoever. It means a lesser function and losing the function that it evolved to do, as in wings in an ostrich. Okay. Thank you, Ken.
It doesn't explain how it got it to begin with. Losing a wing is not going to help evolution. Losing an eye, losing a tail. It's all examples you've got. All of them. Anyway, go ahead. Okay, we got here. This is finally. Nathan, you're welcome. Nathan, go ahead.